Dunhill himself said Latakia should be a condiment.
The range and the attitude to go to these super heavy Latakia blends, and we call them Latakia bombs, that was never the intent, right? No. So now we relate Latakia to an English blend. That's not what English blends were.
It never was.
English blends were Virginias.
Yep.
Right? So they literally...
With no
Latakia,
casings, no toppings,
there was no casings,
Latakia.
no nothing, right? It was literally...
The purity laws.
Right.
So it was pretty much a Virginia and some light Orientals.
And that was it, right? And so the fact that we equate Latakia with English blends is just false.
Yep.
Right?
It's a complete misconception that changed the definition of English over the years.
Give me an old school English blend, which again, read Dunhill. Dunhill will tell you when they did their tobaccos, it was a condiment.
Yep.
3%, 4%, 5% tops.
That's
that was
a max.
It was supposed to be treated like salt and pepper to just give it that little bit of difference in the blend. But now
when
you
sprinkle a tiny bit into it and mix it in, and you get little hints of it throughout the bowl.
And that's it, Nate, right? But if you give me an English now, I don't smoke Englishes anymore.
No, not what we call Englishes. Yeah.
Not what we call Englishes, because I'll be honest with you, it's kind of poop.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you start putting Orientals, and one of my favorite Orientals is Smyrna.
Yeah.
If you put Latakia in enough amount over the top of Smyrna, guess what you're not tasting?
Taste it. Yeah.
You're not tasting Smyrna. And
Smyrnas are all washed out and they still put it in there, but as soon as you add that much Latakia, it's gone. There's no hint of it left.
But the thing of it is people don't get to appreciate the Smyrna, which is this wonderful tobacco. It has this full-bodied, nutty, very earthy flavor. Okay, so go ahead, put a little bit of Smyrna in it, and now 50% of it is Latakia, and now
it's a waste of tobacco.
And now it's just Latakia, right? That's it. You don't get to taste the nuances in the tobacco anymore, right? And to me, it's just not my thing, right?
Yeah.
You know,
when I first seriously started smoking a pipe, I fell down that trap of I liked Englishes. So then I kept going for higher and higher Latakia content until I got to the pirate cakes and all those that are 50+%. And then one day I couldn't taste any tobacco. I was like, what happened? And then my food started tasting salty and everything tasted like salt. And so I quit smoking a pipe for a couple weeks and it went away. And then I picked up a Latakia blend, not in English. I like the difference. And it ruined it again. And I was like, oh, I've destroyed my palate. And that's how I got hooked on McClellan Virginias. I was like, let me try something without any Latakia. And I started going down the rabbit hole of Virginias. And since then, I don't know, once every couple of months we'll go for an English blend. But I don't look for them anymore because I realized that I wrecked my palate on them. So I have them stored away in my cellar. I have piles and piles of these lat bombs that I'm like, nope, it was a mistake.
Well, and the thing of it is when you're smoking these lat bombs, what you wind up doing is, and it's kind of, general knowledge-ish, right? You have to have a palate cleanser tobacco for you to enjoy those again.
Yep.
So now I've got to go smoke an Ennerdale or a Lakeland style so that I can reset my palate so that I can go back and smoke 50% Latakias again? No, thank you. If you have to do something to reset your palate after smoking something that jacks up your level of taste and flavor and enjoyment that much, what the hell are you doing? Right? You're just killing your taste buds. It's just over the top. It's just not needed.
Yeah, I recognize now, of course, many, many years later, that as a new smoker, I couldn't taste those nuances. And I wasn't seeing what tobacco really was yet. So the lat bombs were this is like an explosion in my mouth. Awesome.
No, absolutely,
But then once I learned to differentiate the tobaccos, I was like, I don't need that explosion anymore. But I was smoking too hot, too fast, learning what I was doing. So it was like an adrenaline rush sort of addiction. And then once I realized that I could slow down and enjoy tobacco itself 50% Latakia became the most meaningless tobacco in the world.
Well, and that's right, because so don't expose yourself to that much Latakia, and guess what? Go buy Lane BLWB.
Mm-hmm.
Burley Light without bite. Right?
Yep.
One of the cheapest, most readily available tobaccos in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? That stuff has, and I know it's a very generic bulk tobacco, but I'm going to tell you, in my shop, when I'm sitting in my shop, that's what I'm smoking.
All day, yeah.
It's an easy, all day. It's nutty. It has just a tiny bit of sweetness.
Yep.
But you never have to reset your palate after smoking a tobacco like that, right? You can enjoy it for an entire day and then go smoke the next day, whatever you want. And the next day's tobaccos don't get ruined by what you smoked that day, right? To me, that's more important, right? It's more important to allow your palate to be able to, at any given time, enjoy what you're going to smoke
the thing
that
you're putting,
day.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
The thing you're putting in your pipe, you don't have to think about it because your palate's ready. Yeah,
exactly.
So, by the way, this is the Grey Woody Show. We're joined in studio with Allen Kipp.
Yeah, a little late for introductions, but that's okay.
I figured conversation was rolling. Why not?
Oh yeah,
keep
we
it
had
going?
already. Yeah, we were already going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well turn the
about 6
microphone
hours
on.
in.
Yeah.
Hey, Allen, I want you to watch this video with me.
Okay. Are you going to make me say terrible
last
things?
time I did this with you, too.
Okay.
I love how you remember that
Spoil
many
time.
episodes ago.
Can I be honest about this?
You can be honest
on the
about
recording.
whatever you want. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I see one more ding dang video of people putting oil on a pipe, I'm going to lose my damn mind.
Yep. There it is. Favorite part of pipe making.
Yep.
Danish oil.
The Danish
Really?
oil.
Really?
Oh my god.
Because I'm going to tell you something, and I know people are going to disagree with me, and I'm fine with that.
You can speak the truth all day long, and they will never hear it because they don't want to. So it's okay. I do this every day.
Danish oil is not oil.
Nope.
Danish oil is a polymerized polyurethane. They take, now it does start as an oil, but then they heat it up, and the heating process for Danish oil makes it what they call polymerized. Well, guess what? You just went from a natural oil finish to a synthetic finish. What people are putting on their pipes with
artisan
Danish
pipe makers,
oil is polyurethane, right? So you get this whole group of people who are like, oh my God, they lose their ding-dang minds when you put a little bit of shellac on the pipe, which every high-end maker does.
Every one of them, yes.
Every single one of them.
Even if they don't admit it.
And they won't admit it, but I can tell you right now, go to any show, have any high-end maker tell you that they're not putting a spit shine coat of shellac on their pipes, and you can look at them and tell them they're full of poop.
Yep.
Because they're not telling the truth. Right?
Every NQA ever sold had shellac on the outside.
Every single pipe that I have ever sold has a thin layer of shellac under the wax. Now, I do wax them afterwards, right? But you're talking, when I talk about shellac in a pipe, I'm not talking about like super thick
hard
shellac.
finish on the outside, right.
I'm talking like, if you actually do the research, if people actually took the time to do the research, I'm talking about like a half-pound cut, which is
that's about what mine is.
Well,
for that,
more alcohol than shellac, right?
Yeah.
And all it does really, at the end of the day, is it solidifies the stain. But it, more importantly, that makes your pipe easier to clean.
Yep.
Right? Because your hand oils and stuff don't have as much of an effect on the pipe when you have that spit shine coat of that on there. When you see people spouting that their pipes are oil finished because they put Danish oil on them.
Right.
People can stop buying my pipes right now for what I'm about to say.
Yeah.
They are full of shit. That Danish oil is a polymerized oil that turns into polyurethane. So all these people that are out there talking about, oh my God.
My briar doesn't breathe
My
if you put a little
briar
shellac
doesn't
on
breathe. Oh my God, you put shellac on it.
Yep.
Well, guess what? You just put polyurethane on there.
You essentially have a plastic hard coating on the outside of your pipe.
100%.
I just looked it up, and depending on what site you go on, I was always under the impression that no one actually knew what Danish oil was because anything can be Danish oil.
That is correct.
It's also
So
completely unregulated.
If you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, well, Alan's full of shit, and you Google it like I did, what is Danish oil made of? And that's not why I Googled it. I was just
that's fine.
confirm, right?
I'm happy to have anybody tell me I'm full of shit, but I've done a lot of research on this.
Yeah. It would say that it is made of linseed oil mixed with tung oil.
Yep.
With varnish in it, which is another one of those finishes that everyone's like, oh, don't put that on my pipe. Mineral spirits, which are really safe for you. Synthetic resins and dryers that they add, but that's vague.
Okay, but
They don't have to tell you what those dryers are.
correct. But now what they don't tell you in there is the fact that they take this mixture and they heat it up.
Yeah.
And when they heat it up, you wind up with a synthetic
It's a polymer.
Yes.
Yeah. That heat is
it's
literally, like you said, it's polymerizing it. It's
plastic.
making plastic. Yep.
You're literally coating the pipe with plastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
It looks really cool on a video.
Yeah.
And you know what? It does.
Yep.
But what has gotten in my craw is the fact that just don't call it a natural oil.
Right.
Stop bullshitting your customers.
It's by definition can never be a natural oil because it's made of at least, even if you subscribe to
so
this,
much,
it's made of at least 3 ingredients that are man-made.
So there's a wood finishing book, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. It's like the preeminent book on wood finishing.
Yeah, every pipe maker eventually turns to that book.
Right.
I can't think of it offhand either.
Does it have pictures?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So many.
Okay, well, that's why they look at it, because most pipe makers can't read.
That I'm not going to comment on. But the thing of it is if you read this guy actually took every finish, every wood finish in
Does
the
all
world,
the work for us,
and sent them all out to a lab and had them all tested.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes back and he literally gives you the formula, he gives you the ratios, and he says, this is a plastic finish.
Yeah.
And it is. Confirmed by lab. But yet
every high-end maker will convince you through their awesome Instagram videos that it's a natural oil finish.
Right. Now, there are some high-end makers that don't play that game.
Yeah.
Jeff Graysick.
Yeah.
J. Allen Pipes.
Yep.
That guy is straightforward on everything that he does with his pipes. He does a spit shine coat of shellac, and then he waxes them afterwards. He will show you how he waxes pipes. He will show you. Just look up J. Allen videos. He will show you exactly what he does. But there is just...
he's awesome. He does the Ask a Pipe Maker segment on Brian Levine's show, the Pipes Magazine radio show.
Okay.
He's always been incredibly vocal and open and, like us, willing to negate things said by other high-end makers because he doesn't like the bullshit any more than we do. And I really appreciate that Jeff's always just been really honest.
He's just so straight up in his videos and everything. It's just it's really enjoyable. But the thing of it is people have to get over themselves, man. They just
that's asking a lot in this community.
Yeah, but this is the thing of this is the thing. Educate yourself a little bit, right? Understand what you're buying. Research your makers, right? Research finishes, but like. This whole silly viral thing, good Lord, I know I'm going to hear crap about this. I'm sure of it. But this whole silly thing of all these pipe makers, right? Like having a pipe that's finished and stained and putting oil on it so you can see the change in the stain and stuff like that. You want to know how else I can do that? I can spray water on the ding dang thing.
Water. Yeah.
And it'll do the same exact thing, right? I can show you that. You want to know what I really want to see?
Yeah.
I want to see how that pipe's made.
Mm-hmm.
I would much rather be shown the talent of a pipe maker with how he turns or how he does transitions.
Right.
Or more importantly, I want to see videos of your stem work because stem work is 2/3 of the time of a pipe.
Yeah, so that's why, for me as a maker, I always looked to Walt Kanoy because he literally post videos of every single step that he does. I learned how to make stems not from the guys who taught me to make pipes, because they were gatekeepers like a lot of these other guys were.
Right.
I watched Walt Canoy's video, bought the piece of equipment that he used, and the next day was hand cutting stems.
Yep.
From a 3-minute video.
Well, that's like with Walt stuff. I would love to see a video on how he makes those pencil shank pipes that he makes with those like smaller than a pencil shanks.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Walt Canoy can do that. Yeah. I can't do that. Eventually, I'm hoping to be able to do that.
It's coming. I'll show you.
I've got some ideas myself, but
Bill was always super proud because there are K-Woodies out there that he made with way thinner than a pencil shank. And he was doing that in a production run with 150 other pipes. And
see, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you off the top of my head how I would do it. Off the top of my head, I would line that shank with, because I have some pipes that I do with, line shanks.
Well, yeah. So Scotty is probably the known, pencil
Scotty
shanker.
Is amazing,
and she lines because she knows that it's dangerous. It's not her; it's the consumer at the end who's going to drop that thing.
Well, and if you drop that, but this is another thing that pipe purchasers don't understand about pipe makers, right? But there are two different sections of pipe makers.
Yeah, there
are groups of pipe makers who make a pipe and think in their head, if you break it, that's on you. I don't like that, right? Because there's an element of me trying to save you from yourself, right?
Yeah, if you care about your pipe making, you do try to save the customer from themselves. Yeah,
and so the thing of it is like I've done a couple small shank pipes, but they're all lined with hypodermic quality stainless steel that I buy from a lab.
Yep.
Right? I don't play around with that stuff. That's a step farther than most
people, yeah.
Well, and I'm not
saying it's a negative
laying
to them.
Judgment, right?
It's cool that you take that extra step of caring about where that steel is coming from and what it was meant for and how safe it is.
But it's not just a safety issue, it's a weight issue. If you get into lab hypodermic stainless steel,
right.
You can look at wall thickness that is so minuscule that it adds no weight to your pipe, but yet it provides the strength required for the strength, right?
Yep.
Now, I can go down to Advanced Auto and I can go buy stainless steel brake lines. And don't get me wrong, I've done it. Okay? And I've done that.
Oh, yeah.
Because the thing that's nice about those is that they're easy to bend.
Yep.
And they're easy to shape.
And that's exactly why Uncanny started using it. We just pulled out one of the old concept pipes of being able to bend it and have a...
Ridiculous.
So now the stainless steel tubing that I buy, I have a $500 pipe bender. Tube bender that is used in the semiconductor industry.
Yeah.
So that I can appropriately bend those, right? But that's just my thing, right? I know somebody's going to drop my stuff.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to happen. And I just don't want to put that person in a place where
it sucks and they feel bad.
Sucks. Because this is the other thing. Once that shank is that small, if you break it and send it back to me, I'm not repairing it.
No.
I'll make you a new one.
Yeah, but you're not fixing it.
But guess what I'm not doing?
Nope.
You ain't fixing that.
Nope.
And so that's why, to me, Scotty's pipes are so impressive to me.
So I looked up Walt Canoy pipes and a picture of my pipe came up.
How does that work?
Look at that. Like Walt Canoy, and then there are my pipes on there. What's that all about? I'm not Walt Canoy.
What's the link on it?
It's a tobacco pipes link.
Well, I'm not at the level of tobacco pipes. Like, there's none of my stuff on there.
Yeah, but everything else is like all Walt stuff. And I'm looking at it, and really the only thing he makes that I don't like is his honey pots.
You don't like the honey pots?
No, I find them to be too, this is going to sound ridiculous, too exaggerated.
Yeah.
Is it, so show me a picture of what you're talking about. You're not talking about the wax melt, are you?
Yeah.
Dude, no. Okay.
It's a honey pot or a wax melt. They go by both names, depending on what the maker is, yeah.
This is the thing for me. I am never going to make one. And the only reason I'm never going to make one is because no one is ever going to do them better than Walt Kanoy.
Right. I wouldn't even try. I mean,
So-
I appreciate
so what you
the
have on your
execution.
phone right now,
Yeah.
I will never even
Yeah.
try to attempt
Yeah.
So
that.
Eugene does not like the look of them, but you'd be the first to admit, I think, that Walt Kanois are the best
Yeah.
version of it. Yeah.
I see no
Like-
reason to even try. I mean, look at this. Look at this one.
I love
That's
that.
amazing.
I'm not
That is
even...
a regular size pipe.
I can't do...
Which
So
one is this?
That
this is the thing.
is incredible.
Go ahead and
Yeah.
look...
So most people do this very flat drip
Mhm.
where
Right,
it's
right,
like
right,
completely the same size. He adds the
Yeah.
where it's running and it's fluid.
But
Yeah.
this
It's
is
literally fluid.
this is the thing. What people need to understand when they look at those pipes, that pipe had to start
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
at
big.
a thickness
Uh-huh.
that big.
Right.
So you have to have in your head the final ratios of the non-melt portion of the bowl
hmm
to the shank.
Yep. And you can't do that on a lathe
And you can't
because
do that
your
on a lathe.
topmost part is the thickest part, so you
Exactly.
can never get down to that.
Exactly. So in your head, you have to have enough spatial awareness
Mhm.
to be able to start a bowl that's a half an inch thicker than you want it to be.
Yep.
And then you have to go to the bottom of the bowl,
Yeah.
bring that down
Bring that
to
in
where
and
you're
keep it
say,
cylindrical and even, and yeah.
and then you need to go to the top. And the level
Yeah.
of expertise and engineering
Yep.
is
It's phenomenal.
insane.
Yeah.
There was a time where I was like, I can
I
do
thought
that.
about it for a hot minute.
And I'm
yeah.
going to tell you right now, out of two things, out of the fact that, out of respect for Walt Kanoy, that's his shape.
Mhm.
That's his jam. Now,
Everybody's ripped it off for sure, but that
no
is
one's
really his
ever
thing.
done it. Yes, but has anybody actually done it as well as he has?
I've never seen one as
I
good
have
as his.
never seen one done as well as he does it.
Yep.
Right? And the other part of it is, that's Walt's thing. I rusticate.
Yep.
That's my thing. Now, will I at some point in time try and make one of those for myself?
Right.
Ish.
You want
maybe.
to play with it. You want to move. See what it takes.
Right.
And
like,
you'll probably keep it because you
and
don't
I'll
want to
probably
step on
keep
his
it
toes.
right because the thing of it is I would want to rusticate the lower level of the bowl the way that I
Yeah,
rusticate,
yeah. Right.
and then have that smooth top.
hmm
Dude, that would be crazy.
Yep.
But I'm never going to offer that to anybody
Right.
because
It's going to you or one of your friends who
it's
will
going to
acknowledge
me,
that it
or
was an
it's-
experiment,
or it's
and
going
not
to you,
yeah.
Nate. Right?
Right.
Like,
Who's
but-
always going to say, yeah, he was trying out some of Walt's techniques, but it wasn't for sale. It was never for sale.
it was never for sale, but it was also kind of that experiment to try and get in Walt's head on how he on how he does that, right?
Yep.
Because that takes a mindset, man.
Mhm.
That takes a vision of what the final pipe needs to be compared to the block that you're starting with.
Mhm.
Dude, that's not easy.
No.
That is difficult, right? The sense of spatial awareness that you need
Right.
and the shaping that you need to do for a piece like that.
Yeah.
That stuff's crazy, man. That stuff's just crazy. His pencil shanks right now
Yeah.
are insane.
That's his bent pencil shanks.
How?
No idea.
How is he drilling those?
No idea.
I have no idea.
There is a bit for it. I know it exists, but
And I have one.
yeah.
I have one. I have the bit with the flexible shaft, but I don't think people understand the next step that you have to take in order to utilize one of those
Mhm.
bits is to create a stainless steel
Yep.
guiding tube.
Right.
And how many people actually have the capability to do that?
Right.
Right? And for me right now, someday I would love to be able to do that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same time, right now, dude, Walt's got it down.
Yeah.
If you want something like that, call
Just
Walt.
go to Walt. Yeah,
Just go to
we
Walt.
cover this on the show a lot.
Right,
That-
and
we
just-
somebody asked about a cheap Scotty, and they were like, "Oh, how do I get a Scotty pipe?" But not from her. I was like, "Well, don't. Just go away."
Right.
Well, but this is going to come into something else that grinds my gears about pipe people.
hmm
If you want me to make a pipe, do not send me
Don't send me
a
another
photo
maker. Yep.
from another pipe maker that you can't afford.
Right.
But because I don't charge so much, you think I'm going to make that for you.
Right.
Well,
it's not happening.
So I actually prefer that they send me that photo because it tells me which customers I'm not working with.
Absolutely.
I love when they do that because I'm like, oh, thank you. I had a feeling you were trying to rip somebody off.
Right.
But now you confirmed it for me, and I can honestly tell you I'm not making that for you. Thank you. Goodbye.
No, go to that maker.
Save your pennies.
Spend what that maker is worth. Scotty Purcell is worth every dime that she charges for her pipes.
And if you can't afford it, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to try and half-ass her stuff.
Yeah, let's forget pipes for a minute. There are things that I would like in my life that I can't afford. I don't look for a cheap version of it. I move on. I let it be a dream. You know what? Have a pipe dream. Think about Scotty's pipes. Dream about them. If you can't afford it, okay.
Well, and
we all have things we can't afford.
Exactly. So don't come asking me to put a Ferrari body on a Pinto.
Eugene is measuring his body right now. I don't know what's happening.
What are you doing?
I'm measuring my body.
You can't start at the shoulder when you're measuring. Never mind.
Well,
so that's the whole thing. Don't ask me to put a Ferrari body on a Pinto.
Right.
Because I can't do
I'd rather have the Pinto. Thank you.
I am actually a big fan of the old Pintos, but don't ask me to do something that somebody's already an expert on.
No.
Right? Because I'm just not going to do it. And I'm going to block your ass. I'm going to be honest
with you. Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, those are the customers I turn away and I never talk to again. Right. I love that they tell me that. I love when they send me somebody else's photo because I know what they're doing now. And show your hand. Thank you. You're blocked. I'm not using anything that you asked for now. Thank you very much.
Well, and I spoke to you about this a little bit earlier today, Nate, was the fact that, I don't take commissions. Mm-hmm. Okay? And there's a couple reasons for that. I have a full-time job during the day.
Because you're way smarter than me. The worst thing I ever did was take on commissions.
Right.
Jeez.
So I did make a mistake about a year ago.
Yep.
And I took a commission. And I finished the pipe. And I'm like, okay, well, I can sell this pipe to this guy now. And at the very least, I can buy more material.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes, well, I don't like the dimensions of the bowl.
And I'm like, been here so many times.
Dude,
yeah, go ahead.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
That's,
of course, yeah.
That's how I drill my bowls. And the thing of it is the bowl shape that I drilled is a set bowl shape. Mm-hmm. It's a set diameter. It's a traditional shape. And I'm sorry that you don't like it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to post this pipe, which, by the way, it sold in 5 minutes afterwards.
5 minutes, no problem. Yep.
And then I blocked your ass.
Yeah.
So, and that solidified why I don't
ever bother.
Commissions.
Yeah.
Right?
You know the people you're willing to take a commission, quote unquote, from. I'm doing air quotes because you can't see it, but there are the people who will say, this is what I want. And you know that you have an understanding between you that it's not a commission per se. It's a communication.
I've got a guy that I still haven't finished his pipe, and it's not a commission.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Instagram message that he's like, I love your rustication, and I want a pipe that was meant for a troll.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
That's all he said.
Mm-hmm.
That was a year ago.
Very open-ended. And I still imagine what that is. Yeah.
And I still haven't gotten that pipe back to that guy because the vision of that pipe still hasn't hit my head.
When you make that request, it has to come naturally because if you force it, it's never going to be
right. But this is the same guy a year later who doesn't care. Mm-hmm. He's like, man, whatever, man.
Yep.
He's like, you get it done when you get it done. Now, that is a very loose interpretation of a commission.
Mm-hmm.
Those I have no problem with.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you know the people that you understand and you know that you can make what they're looking for, and it's not really a commission, but
it's really.
It's a small circle too.
Well, it's a very small circle, right? Because it's a very different mindset of a person buying the pipe. If you're very specific with your requirements on a commission for my pipes, you don't actually want one of my pipes.
Right. That's the problem. Yes.
Now, if you give me If you give me a generic, like, you want the pipe to sit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do my thing, but make sure the pipe sits.
Yeah.
I want a clencher. That's easy as well. I know how to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know how to make that pipe and make it light enough for you to be able to clench. But those are enjoyable boundaries that challenge you.
Right. When you start giving me the, 1/10 of a millimeter,
you want an
diameters of every single
18.2 millimeter diameter bowl, go make your own pipes.
Yeah.
Because I'm done.
Yeah, and you know what? That's how I became a pipe maker. When I wanted the perfect Virginia pipe, and I wanted every stupid dimension to this, dumb. In the end, I know none of it it didn't matter. But when I wanted this incredibly particular pipe, what did I do? I started learning how to make pipes because I knew that was a dumb request to ask any other pipe maker.
Right.
So I learned, and I did that, and I made that pipe, and it sits unused because it was literally useless. It was all made up in my head. It was all a thing that I thought mattered, and none of it did. But I learned how to make pipes so I could make it for myself, because to ask anybody to waste their time doing my really narrow idea was not worth their time.
Well, that's just like the reason that I started making pipes, and I've actually never told this to anybody before, is the fact that my eyes have a budget that my wallet doesn't. Right? So if you sent me to any pipe show, the very first, you could send me to any table at any pipe show, and the first thing that attracted my eye was probably the most expensive pipe on the table.
Yep. And you didn't want to spend that kind of money. It doesn't matter which one.
Right. So for me, that was like, so my initial response was, oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then I realized, I actually can't do that. Right. Yep. I have no idea how to do that. Right. But my brain
now I have to learn because I convinced myself I can.
Exactly. And now my brain goes in the direction of, you can't tell me that I can't do that.
Right.
Right. And so the next 5 to 6 years was me making pipes in the basement for myself.
Yep.
Before I ever even considered offering a pipe to anybody else.
Yeah.
Because you have to learn that lesson.
Yeah.
You have to learn the lesson of these pipe makers do things that you cannot do.
Yes, they do. Yep.
Right? And so you need to be a little, I wish pipe purchasers were a little more humble.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because people, and we've had this conversation before, people look at rustication as that pipe has a pit in it, so I'm going to rusticate it so that I can save that piece of wood.
Right.
That's not what I do.
No.
Right? Like, when I look at a piece of wood, I look at a piece of wood on how I can rusticate it.
Right.
Right? So, and there's a lot more work involved than I think most people realize in my pieces.
Yeah, and I think this is actually really relevant and important to think about. So, as the owner of Greywoodie, I own a lot of Briar.
Oh, yeah.
And we just went through some of that for you. And not once were you looking at, does this pipe already have a flaw? Does this Briar have issues? Every bit of that was, where's the meat? How much is there? What can I do to this? And it was irrelevant whether it was the most perfectly grained, smooth piece or if it had existing flaws. You have a completely different eye than every other pipe maker I know, because you're not looking at any of those things. You're looking at how the grain will affect the rustication you want to do and how those two things come together. There was never a, oh, you're never going to be able to use this piece of Briar, let me take it off your hands. It was, oh my God, I see something I can do in this piece. Can I have it? That's the angle you're coming from.
Exactly. And the thing of that is, and you're right, because it's not that much different from like the high-end sandblast stuff, right? People don't look at rusticating pipes the way that they look at sandblasted pipes, right?
Well, even most people think that a sandblast is saving the briar, and I made a name for myself as NQA
that
back
is
then.
so not true.
No, I used to yell at Bill when he'd send me K-Woodies that were smooth. And I'd take one look at this and go, Bill, why did this not get blasted? Like,
That's
look
what I'm
at the
talking
rings
about.
on this,
oh my
man.
God, please.
It's never been about saving the briar for us. Yes, there are factories that's how they handle it. But for us, it was the ring is all that matters to me. Now, when I want a K-Woodie blasted, it's because of the ring. It's never about whether there's a flaw or not a flaw. It's always about the rings that I can see. And if those rings are freaking amazing, I want it sandblasted and not smooth. That's all it is.
That's all. And so, like, when I'm looking at a piece of wood, right? So this is the thing as well with rustication, right? The very first thing. So you guys are going to understand that no matter what people think about where you buy your briar from, there is soft briar and hard briar.
Oh, 1,000%. Yes.
And I don't think a lot of people understand this, right? Because so when I go to rusticate a pipe, the block of wood, once I have the shape, I actually test it for how hard that wood is. And actually the testing kind of happens when I'm cutting the shape.
Yeah, you can see it as you go.
You can see
once
it,
you know.
Or the wood starts burning because it's so freaking
so
hard. That when you're doing the shape, right? So guess what? If that piece of wood is that hard, I have to use a whole different set of tools.
Yep.
Because if that piece of wood is soft, guess what else I got to do?
Yeah.
I have to adjust the amount of pressure
Yep.
that
Otherwise,
I put
you're
on the piece of wood,
that thing. Yeah.
or else I'm going to lose the shape entirely, right? Also, I need to know how the grain is running because end grain and long grain, when you go to rusticate, are two different animals.
Yeah.
Right. So
when we like to talk about that angel hair grain on a pipe, you have no idea how much that affects the blast, the rustication, the shaping. Every step of that changes. When you see those beautiful little angel hairs, that is a soft ass piece of wood.
That is
and you are in trouble.
And I am in trouble, right? Because, and so I showed you guys the tools that I used
anybody
yesterday.
else wants some vodka.
Yeah. I'm
not hiding it under the table. I was just keeping it out of our sight.
There is literally, I showed you guys a portion of the rustication tools that I use.
A portion. Your travel version.
My travel version, right? Because, like, you need that amount of options when you're looking at a piece of wood and you start dealing with a piece of wood. If you're just, now, don't get me wrong. If you're just going in and you need to make a pipe, you found a pit, and you need to rusticate it to sell that pipe, and the engineering's good and it looks good, good on you, man.
So that's a Berkshire, from a K-Woodie perspective. That's where I do little spot carving. It's not artistic. It's not what you do. It's just this is an easy finish for me to pull off, and that pipe is 100% smokable and awesome. Let me just put a couple spots on it, and put a dark stain. Cool.
And I'm cool with that because at that level of effort for the finished piece, you can provide that at a cost that allows
that
most
makes people really happy. Yeah.
Able to afford that and really enjoy that pipe. Right. So, well, that's even now. I mean, my pipes aren't that expensive, man.
No. They're severely underpriced. Everybody on Instagram understand you are getting a deal. I
have been told that. But the thing of it is again, I'm looking at, so my drilling is, so my background with engineering and machining, my drilling is. Yeah, your real job. You actually,
you understand what the engineering of a pipe actually is. Not all these guys on their high horses about what an engineered pipe is. That's literally your living. You know how to engineer a thing.
That is what I do for a living, right? So the thing of it is so I literally don't charge people for the level of work that I do
that goes into making that
in the engineering, right? Because
that's all unseen. You can't
right. But
with a good conscience charge people for that.
But that's the thing. I can't do that, right? I can't do that, right? So even if I could make you a square block of wood, But I'm going to tell you right now, the actual work that I do to make sure that you enjoy a pipe from mine is going to be there regardless.
Mm-hmm.
That pipe, you're going to be able to light that pipe and you're going to be able to set it on a table. And I'm going to guarantee you right now that pipe will smoke itself.
Yep.
You could let that pipe sit on the table for 20 minutes and pick it back up and start smoking it again.
Yep.
Okay. To me, that is the most important part.
Yeah.
Right? Because
it's really funny. Let me pull you back for a second. So a lot of this I see new guys getting into pipes, and they talk about how many times they relight and all this other nonsense they go through. And we give them advice on how to handle the tobacco because it's the thing that we can address. But if you take a step back, 90% of that time, these guys are smoking an Amazon pipe or another American factory that hires unskilled laborers to make them. These pipes are engineered like crap, and it's a huge part of that need to constantly relight. Yes, some of it's skill, and some of it's tobacco, and some of it's moisture, and that's the advice we give them because we can, and we're not telling them go spend more money.
No.
But at the same time, go buy a better engineered pipe and you're already going to find that about half of those relight issues go away because you're right. A well-engineered pipe, you can set on the table and walk away and come back 5, 10, 15 minutes later and it's still going.
Go ahead and buy. I love Castello pipes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I own a large number of Castello pipes.
Your obvious inspiration for all of your rustication has been Castello.
Castello,
yeah.
Right? And I got that from my mentor, right? I love Italian design. But I'm going to tell you right now, go ahead and buy a Castello Hawkbill. The only way they're able to drill those Hawkbills is because the airway is only 2 millimeters in diameter.
Yeah, right.
The drill bit that they use to drill those Hawkbills in order to get that shape, which again, cool, because the pipes are beautiful.
Yeah.
But guess what? That pipe's not going to do. It's not going to smoke well. Right? You are going to relight that pipe constantly because of that 2 millimeter
I
airway.
just showed Eugene. I have a phenomenal Tim Thorpe Hawkbill.
Okay.
He was playing with it. He was learning what he was doing, and he was playing around. So I got one of the very early Hawkbills, and he abandoned it. And the reason he stopped making Hawkbills is they suck.
They suck.
They look amazing, and no matter how well he engineered it, it is a terrible smoker. And so I got it at a crazy discount because it was the last one. He's like, I kept trying, I kept them. Sold them to a couple of his loyal customers who will just buy his stuff no matter what. And then the last one he made, he went, this is the best one I've ever made. You can have it for whatever. His pipes were at the time going for $400 or $500.
Right.
And he was like, you can have it for $150 because it's never going to smoke well. And I can't fix that because they're terrible pipes. So it's lovely. You saw it, Eugene. You like it? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It looks really nice.
But the thing of it is like when so I still do the repairs and stuff, the restorations and repairs for Park Lane, right, for Paul. When we do the pipe shows, there is never a day that someone doesn't come into that show and go, could you look at this pipe because it smokes like crap?
Yep.
You want to know what I do? I don't even need to look at it.
Yeah.
I got a 4 millimeter machinist reamer in a drill.
Yep. Done.
And all I got to do is go back into the back shop, drill it out with a 4 millimeter machinist reamer, give it back to him, and it is now his favorite pipe in the world.
Yep. You know what? I actually had a really great question. Recording is not the best time, but whatever. We'll do it anyway because we're here. So you still do the repairs for Park Lane?
Yes, I do.
Do you do any of that on the side, or is it all through Park Lane?
Oh, no, I would.
Okay.
I've just never had anybody reach out to me on the side.
Is it cool if I start sending them your way?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
So I get an email weekly probably of guys who are like, oh, I see that you make the K-Woodies and you love the K-Woodies and I have all these K-Woodies that need repaired. You do that too. And every time I'm like, have you looked at my website? I'm like, yeah. Do you see pipes for sale? No. Do you know why? Because as soon as I make them, they're sold.
They're gone.
why would I be repairing pipes right now if I can't keep my inventory up? So I've created more demand than I have inventory, and I need a place to send them, and I don't want to send them across the country or
send
whatever.
Send them to me.
Okay.
Send them to me.
If that's fair to do, that's where
this is the thing. My pipe making, and again, you and I had a conversation earlier today about this, is that when I got to the point where I wanted to get involved in this, I had made my first pipe, and I brought it to Paul Bonaquisti at the store. And he was very kind and didn't need to be kind because that pipe sucked.
Right.
That pipe was horrible.
So we've talked about him, but for the listeners' benefit that aren't regular listeners. So Paul Bonaquisti is a world-renowned pipe maker.
And one of the godfathers of American pipe making.
Yes. So he's forgotten and irrelevant in most conversations these days just because he hasn't... Right. He just hasn't been active lately. But for anybody listening... He's part of the American pipe making movement. There's a reason that you are fortunate to have learned under Paul. So when you say he had no reason to be nice, it's because he literally had no reason to be nice about it.
The man has a following. Go ahead and find out how many Bonaquisti pipes are available for you to buy. Even on eBay, they're not out there. Right, and
there's
when
a reason they never,
and there's a reason that they never
show up for resale.
Resale, right?
Yeah.
Now, the other portion of it was that I didn't have an expectation of it, but Paul made me go through an actual apprenticeship. So,
which is amazing.
When I told him that I would like to make pipes, and could you show me how to make pipes? He's like, "Well, guess what you need to do first? You need to know how to clean pipes."
Yeah.
And so for the first 2 years,
nothing will
Paul,
ever teach you the engineering behind a pipe, like actually having to clean and or fix that engineering.
Dude, the thousands of pipes that have been through my hands. So that was the cleaning part of it. And what that allowed me to do was understand airways, understand bowl shapes. And then after like 2.5 years of that, then Paul showed me how to repair pipes, right? That was the next 2 years.
Right.
Before he even showed me how to turn a pipe.
Yeah.
Didn't even show me how to do anything on a lathe until then. So I'm already 4.5 years in, and I haven't even been shown how to turn a pipe.
Most guys are selling garbage $600 pipes at 4 years.
Dude, don't even get me going on that. I'm going to tell you something right now.
You haven't even made one yet. Yeah.
Well, that is what happened, and then I started learning to make pipes, right?
Yeah.
But I'll piggyback off what you just said. That stuff drives me crazy. I'm going to tell you something right now. I don't judge. If you can make a pipe regardless of how it looks, and you can make money on it, and you have a market to buy those things from you, then good for you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm happy.
But it doesn't mean I agree with you either.
But it does not mean I agree. Like, again, I charge $250. I've never charged anything over $250 for a pipe.
Nuts.
I've seen people
So we'll take a quick step back. I'm smoking my Allen Kipp Devil Ants.
That's a great pipe, by the way.
I've got a smooth top of the Devil Ants with a rusticated shank and bottom of the bowl. And this pipe should be $600 all day long.
You're out your mind. Nope. I will never, ever, ever, ever.
And I love you for it, but
charge that much for a pipe. I will never charge that much.
If I saw this on a table at $600, I would think that was a very fair price.
Now, that pipe is insane. That pipe is gorgeous.
I love that I own one of the most unique Allen Kipps ever made. This is not your...
I will never, ever... So I'm going to tell everybody right now, the pipe that you're smoking right now is the only one of that I'm going to make. That is Nate's pipe.
Yes.
That will never be made again.
I am so proud that I got it.
But it's also...
Goes back to your, you don't take commissions.
No.
You don't do it knowingly.
But you and I had a conversation about a year ahead.
Yep.
And I remembered you talking about like you had ideas about what you would like a devil ants to actually look like.
Yep.
And so that's what that
you
wound
nailed
up
every
being.
piece of it. But it wasn't a commission. It was a mental connection of a commission.
That was it. When I
we
made
got each other.
When I made that pipe, I had you in the back of my head the entire. Because you might have looked at it and told me to go pound sand, right? Maybe you would have thought that it looked like crap.
Yeah, no.
I was pretty sure you weren't going to.
We're too much alike. We understand each other too well.
There's actually portions of that pipe that I don't like. Mm-hmm. Right? There's portions of that piece that I don't like. But that's always my biggest weakness, right?
Yeah, it's how I am with everything, yeah.
Well, but that goes into the fact that... and I get a couple of complaints because sometimes I disappear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We
haven't talked in months.
We haven't talked in months, but it leads to a few things. It leads to pipe making is a positive mental health activity for me.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, at times, right.
Because there's other times where I'm so dissatisfied with my own pipe making that I just throw everything on the bench and I disappear for 2 months.
Yep.
It's a thing for me, right? It just...
I can peel the veil back. For me, when I first discovered that I had to take over K-Woody, it was the only way it was going to work.
I don't even know how you managed that.
Yep. So I believed in myself on the surface, 100%. And that first batch of pipes, without Bill to ask in person, I mean, he's alive, but without him standing next to me to say, like, did I do K-Woody justice here? My wife, awesome, supportive, amazing person, got to deal with the fallout of that. I would come in from the shop. I'd shut the shop down at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
And just walk away from everything. And she's like, what are you doing? You're still working, aren't you? I was like, no, I'm done.
You can't do it.
She's like, why? I was like, everything out there is absolute trash.
Everything is poop.
Yep. I was like, I'm going to burn 150 pipes right now.
And I'm not going to put a single one of them up for sale. I'm going to go out.
What are you doing?
And I'm going to make some frickin' marshmallows on top of these pipes right now.
And I was dead serious. I went through weeks at a time of this where every single day ended in me going, I'm the worst pipe maker I've ever met. And she's like, they're fine. I'm like, that's the problem. They're fine.
They're fine.
That's not okay.
That makes me the worst pipe maker in the world.
Yeah, and the world is lucky to have seen some of those pipes. I was ready to walk away from everything. I started pulling up phone numbers going, I'm selling K-Woody. I made a huge mistake. I am a joke. Fortunately, she's supportive, and I continued on, and I was like, trust the process. I'll get through this and do each step, and when they come out, they'll be fine. That's what I expected. And there was one batch in particular that I wanted to throw out, and I took them out in the sunlight, and that was the moment that I went, oh, shit. These are really good pipes. I'm really stuck in my own head, and it's all mental health, man.
Well, and I hate to keep saying this, but like we podcasted late because we've been talking all day.
Yeah.
I have an individual that lives down in South Carolina, which right now I consider my only collector. Right, this guy owns more pipes of mine than anybody else.
Yeah,
and so he'll message me and he'll be like, "That's mine. It's a work of art." And I'll see him say that's a work of art, and I'll be like, "You're lying to me."
Right.
Like my initial mental response is, "That's a bunch of bullshit."
Yeah. Thanks for stroking my ego.
Thanks for stroking my ego. And now I'm going to make more pieces of poop like that, and people are going to make fun of me.
Right.
But yet, one time I got on the phone with the guy, and he went through his list of things of why he bought that pipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like...
It's like an eye-opening experience.
Oh, my God. You know, you know what? You're right.
Yeah.
I'm still going to have this feeling in my head that nothing is ever going to be good enough.
That doesn't stop that.
That
right?
never stops.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know this guy smokes this pipe 3 times a day, every day.
Right.
And he'll message me and be like, yo, dude, this pipe is the bee's knees. Like, it smokes like a champion every day, all day.
Yeah. And
it looks great.
And it can be both. You know you're right, and it's trash compared to what you want it to be. But you also know he's right, and it's amazing. And it can be both. And it
can be both. But for me personally, that balance can be very difficult.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why, like, obviously if I made more pipes, I could sell more pipes. Right. But that's a product of 2 things. One, I don't make my living off of pipes. Right. I have a full-time
You're fortunate
gig.
to have kept your job.
Well,
sometimes
my job can be a little unfortunate to keep.
Yeah, I know you don't like to get into too personal things, but I know for a fact that your job is a nightmare. You are in a world different than most people.
Well, and again, I've always appreciated your discretion with the work that I do. I do work for the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, the stuff that I do, I don't want to sound like one of those cheesy guys that goes, if I tell you I have to kill you, that's not the truth of it. But quite honestly, 50% of my work that I do, I actually can't talk about.
Yeah, you just can't.
I just can't, right?
And even being your friend and an insider, I know the surface.
You know the ish, right? Yeah,
the very surface level of a lot of what you can't talk about. It's nuts.
But when those things happen, when those people talk about that, and you wind up, you really have to balance yourself out, right? But this is the other thing, and I'm just going to be very open and honest about this. If you have pre-existing mental health issues, those things are not easy.
No.
And I'll be honest with everybody, I do have those things, right? I'm a decorated combat veteran.
I was just going to say, to repeat something you mentioned earlier, you are a decorated combat veteran, so guess what?
So
mental health issues and that walk hand in hand.
Right. So, there's some of these things that you deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah. And
they don't allow you to have the appropriate perspective on the stuff that you do afterwards. Right. And so, but the one thing that I will say is people like you and Eugene have always been so supportive of the work that I do.
Yeah.
That I'm going to tell everybody right now, the reason that I am here today and the reason that I came to see Nate and Eugene is because I needed to reset myself.
Yeah.
I needed to have some of the homies around me. Yep. And sometimes you really need to be around those people that know what you're talking about, know what you're going through. And like, I can tell you right now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm probably going to be up till 3:00 in the morning making pipes when I get home tonight, right?
Because you got that reset.
This is just going to be such a reset for me, right?
Yeah.
And
And we're all in the fortunate situation that when you needed that reset, it turns out that this is our everyday. We're just making pipes in a shop somewhere, and you can just show up for that.
Well,
I love that that's our
and
lives.
How beautiful is that, right?
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, too, though, is that's you and Eugene being kind to me as well, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to accept me into your house.
True. Yeah, and that's the K Woody factory is in my house now, so.
Right, but that's the thing. You need to... the thing is understanding that I also have just such an extreme appreciation for the friendship and the relationship because... You guys don't have to accept me into your home.
Yeah.
Right?
And we've been in both.
Right. We've been in both houses today. But this is the other part of it. The other part of it is when you build these relationships, like today, I haven't seen you guys since the Capital Land Pipe Show.
Yeah. So June. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a single day hasn't passed.
Right.
It's how
like
it's supposed
us
to be.
getting together today is like No time has passed.
You walked into the shop and we were mid-conversation already. It was like we continued the same conversation we were having 6 months ago.
Yep.
And so that's that aspect of the maker's culture.
Yeah.
That is just, it's so intense and it's so cool. And it's like when you get around other makers and you can actually talk to somebody that has the same concerns and the same worries, you're like, I'm not alone in the world.
Right.
Right. And so you're like, oh my God, thank God. Yeah. I got the boys. The boys understand what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing. I haven't talked to you guys in 6 months.
Yeah.
You guys didn't give me shit about that.
No.
Never.
Why would we?
Never.
I walked into the house. I hugged the both of you.
Yep.
And it was like we had seen each other yesterday.
Yes. Always.
That truly, for me, that is truly the beauty of having relationships with you and Eugene.
Real friendships,
and real friendships in the community.
Yep.
Dude, it's invaluable.
Yep.
It's invaluable.
Yeah, it's like the pipe shows when people are like, oh, we don't make money at pipe shows, and somebody can go, why do you do them then? And there is marketing and expanding our audience. And at the end of the day, though, the reason we show up to pipe shows is because we have another set of friends that we can communicate with and reconnect with and understand how much shit we've gone through leading up to these pipe shows. And those people there are another part of the circle that is just, you walk in, you haven't seen each other since last Chicago.
Right.
And it doesn't matter because you can commiserate about the same things. You can make fun of the hobbyists who are the worst customers in the world together again.
But then you actually get to go to another individual and say, how much poop did you have to put up with to get ready for this show?
Yep.
And he goes, just as much as you. This was horrible, right?
Yep.
So the prep for the show, at least, people can discuss those, and everybody who is actually prepping for the show understands the absolute ungodly level of stress to get ready for a show and to be able to do that. And then you get to the show and you're like, okay, I get to hang with the homies now.
One long breath,
right?
Hang out with the homies.
One long breath, hang out with the homies. You sell pipes, you don't sell pipes. At least you get to see the boys.
Suddenly it doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah,
Well,
this year, Chicago.
It's never mattered to me to sell pipes.
I know.
Yeah, never.
Like Skoda, never behind your own table.
Right. No, I'm there all the time. I'm just not looking up.
Yeah, you're there. You're just not there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this year for Chicago is freaking me out. So, spoilers, I'm not going to tell you, but yeah, there's like a whole new level of stress thinking about going to Chicago. And
you should be stressed
and it's
out.
Awesome.
You should be scared.
Well, that's like this year. Like for me, I'm trying to figure out. So I intend to go to all the shows this year.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a first for me.
Yep.
But the level of stress, because I'm not going to go to a show without at least a half a dozen pipes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I'm already stressed out.
Yep.
And I haven't even started making pipes for those shows.
You haven't even thought about what they might be.
Haven't even thought about what they might look like. I'm already up here. I'm already stressed out, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have the experience that you guys have with these shows, right?
Yeah.
Because
I've been a regular since 2019.
But that's putting yourself.
You're shortly thereafter.
1 year short.
Yeah.
I started in 2020.
But that's putting yourself in front of everybody.
Yep.
Right? All the big boys.
And then some morons decided to have their own show.
Yeah, what's that all about?
I ain't saying nothing about that. I ain't saying nothing.
Wasn't enough stress to get to the shows.
Right,
Let's throw one.
Right. Yeah.
Well, someone needed to put together the second worst show in the industry.
Oh, man.
Can't just have one dud.
Yeah, we tried to follow on the show that killed itself. Like, we're starting from ground -10. Mm-hmm. Like, here's a show that sucked so bad nobody wanted to be there except us, and so let's start it over in Albany. God, we're done.
Great success, though. No, it's a great show.
It's a great show.
Albany's like, the Capital Land show is like the chillest, most enjoyable show I go to.
Well, I mean, look at your hosts. I'll pat ourselves on the back for that one piece that we are the chill guys who decided to put a show together.
But it's like, it's this show that like you pull up to, and it's like you go, oh, hey, Joe. Hey, Nate. Hey, Eugene. Because everybody's just kind of hanging out, right? You got your bin in the back seat of the car. You grab your bin. You walk in. You put it on the table. You go grab a beer before you set up your pipes on the table. And it's just this. I've noticed that
even when the big guys showed up, when Sutliff and Missouri Meerschaum, it was like they'd been there a million times. I loved that.
So that show is like that show. When I meet people at that show that I've never met before, everybody talks like we've been drinking bros for like 10 years. That is the most amazing thing about that show.
June 21st, 2025, for those who haven't caught it yet.
11 to 7.
It is just...
Don't show up early.
Don't show up early. But it's just the most chill show. And it's like... So, like, and the people that are there, like Eugene...
we don't turn people away like some places have, but the people drawn to us, I guess, are already like us. That's how that works.
Well, I think...
If you show up early, you're getting put to work.
That's a true story. That's a true story.
Thank you, Joe. Joe shows up early, but Joe shows up early because he knows that we want the help.
And he's 7 feet tall and can hang banners.
He can hang the banners for the short guy.
But that show's like...
Are you getting on that chair? Yes. Can I hang that for you? Thank you.
That was great.
Even if you've never met those people before at that show, they treat you like
brother.
Literally... Those shows, we can go out to dinner afterwards like we've been friends for the past 20 years.
Everybody there,
That show is just so relaxed. Like, so this most recent one, my dad, who doesn't really know like a ton about pipe making. So one of the aspects of me getting into pipes and stuff was the fact that my dad was a pipe smoker. My grandfather was a pipe smoker.
But I didn't give a shit about the engineering or any of this.
No. These are things that these guys didn't know anything about, right? And my dad knew nothing about this stuff. And he was like, yo, can I show up? I was like, of course you can show up. The next thing I know, my dad and Joe Skoda are the best friends in the world because Joe was sitting at the table next to me. And next thing I know, my dad has disappeared because he's over talking to Joe Skoda like they've been drinking beer together for 30 years. And I was like, oh, that's great, Dad. Thanks.
So now you've lost your time with Skoda.
Exactly.
And you didn't hang out with your dad.
And I didn't hang out with my dad. Because my dad just finished hanging out with Joe Skoda, and it was like, yo, I'm out of here, dude.
Capitalized on your time.
See you later, man. Peace out. Drop the mic. And I'm like, really, dude? Really? That's how we're going to play this show?
Yep. And it really is.
That's just
the beauty.
But that's the beauty of that show, man. It's just
fastest 8 hours you'll ever spend in your life.
Oh my God. That is just
even as the hosts and all of the stress and all of the bullshit going on, it just wipes away. It's gone in an instant. You blink your eyes and you're like, the 8 hours are up. Wow.
And just when you think it's winding down, my sister shows up with truffles and everyone comes to life again.
Now, there's another thing. There's another thing that people need to know about that show.
There's truffles and food.
At the end of that show, if you really want to wheel and deal on pipes, do not disappear.
That's right.
Because we were wheeling and dealing on pipes at the end of that show this year.
And that's literally where this Kipp comes from.
Yep. You want to get good deals and you really want to talk smack about pipes? Stay to the end.
Right.
Because there's conversations being held at the end of that show that do not get held during that show.
There are conversations that happen that we wouldn't even put on a minus episode.
Oh, no.
Right.
Yeah, it's... But again, the end of the show, the after show, that was wonderful.
Yeah.
Right? That was just another good time.
Yep. The after show is maybe where it's at.
Yeah. It was
only if you experience the show too. Like the show is amazing, but if you get through that and make it to the after show, you've arrived.
Nate. That was so fun, man. I gotta tell. Does anybody know what happens after the show?
No. Only the people that are there.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So I'm not going to say anything else then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
I'm not gonna
It's
say
definitely not
anything
like a
else.
pizza party.
No, nothing that. But
No.
there's a level of entertainment after the show that occurs.
So
Dude.
the one thing we're not going to do again is we're not doing another roast ever again.
It was great while it lasted.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, we decided right after it that it was nice when it happened, but we were never doing that again.
Yeah.
Maybe something comparable, but that was like brutal.
I would do comparable, but
Maybe not
that went a little far.
in a great way in the moment.
And don't get me wrong, I laughed my ass off.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you right now, the general public shouldn't hear what some of
Oh
the
my
stuff
God.
that got said during that roast.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way the general public should be hearing that.
Yeah, that was a one and done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
And it couldn't have been a one and done for a better person. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
Well, what you guys missed was the pipe GED roast of Eric Karlowski. And if you were there, you know, and if you weren't, you don't.
Yeah, that's it.
it was epic.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty good send off for him.
Yeah, literally the best.
You know what? But I have to tell you something, man. That guy handled that so well and laughed so much about having his balls busted so much.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Like
the wonder that was our friend Eric,
Yeah.
for sure.
Eric just
God literally rest
Would
his
it-
soul.
would-
there
It
was some jacked
amazing.
up stuff
Would
that
you
got
believe me if
and
I told you though, that
rolled
there
right
were
off him.
rules that I discussed with people who wanted to participate?
Rules?
Would you believe me if I told you there were subjects that were off the table that they were not to talk about?
That
There-
didn't happen.
There were
That
there
didn't
were
happen.
rules,
That
and a lot
didn't
of them
happen.
were followed, and it still went
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that went.
I'd say probably 50% of the rules were not followed.
yeah.
Yeah. So
But at the same time, it was just. It was just a fun time. It was a good time. I didn't expect it. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
I had no expectation of that, and but it was just fun, man. And it was like. What's also interesting about it, it was the hardcore people that were left over.
always. Yep.
Right? It was
Always.
just the hardcore pipe show crew, and it was some of the. I won't say what vendors, but some of the vendors, and it was just
Yeah.
for me. It was funny as hell, man.
Yep. Was that number 3? This year's 4. Is it? No.
That's got to
gotta-
be 4 or 5, right?
I think it's 4. I could figure that out somehow. I have the memory of a goldfish. I have no idea.
That was just a great show.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, it's my favorite one. But I'm obviously biased.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well, second favorite. My absolute favorite pipe show of all time is the NASPIC Columbus show.
now see, I've never been to that show, so
they actually changed venues this year. It's always been at the Crown, and I don't know where it's going to be this year, but that was my best show. Is the Columbus show?
Your best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where I make the most dollars.
Yeah, for sure. Columbus is going to be interesting this year. They moved locations.
They did.
Did I miss that? You already mentioned it.
Yeah, I just mentioned it, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm optimistic. I think.
What year? How is this our 4th Capital Land show, or is it 3rd? Or has it always been?
Just always been. Boy, I think this is the 4th.
I don't
This
know.
is the 4th.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna.
it is the 4th Capital Land.
Yeah, because we did 2. Did we do 2 in the fall, and then 1 in the summer last year?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I don't have my iPad here, so I can't look at flyers.
Right.
But I will. I will make the new one.
Good, because people
this
are
weekend.
asking.
Yes.
Yeah. Need to get an email out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's time.
But yeah, June 21st. I think we did 2 autumn, and this will be the 2nd spring.
So I'm expecting, definitely Capital Land this year will change. Without Sutliff and their support, it's going to be a little different.
Do we want to talk about that at all? Sutliff.
Sutliff? That's a hot topic. Yeah, I'll talk to you about it all day.
One of the things that I and I'm sure everybody, and I know for a fact that they have certain feelings about the whole Sutliff thing. I'm going to tell you right now, this is one of the most detrimental things that is going to happen to the pipe industry in the next 2 decades.
Yeah, I agree.
This is my commentary, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that everybody, they have a certain opinion on it because it's going to have an effect on the fact that they buy their pipe tobacco online, right? Mm-hmm. So their options are going to be a little bit less.
Right.
This is devastating to brick and mortar pipe shops.
Sure. Yeah, and you have firsthand experience in that.
And I have firsthand experience in this, right? I'm even right now, as of last week, I was dealing with the loss of tobaccos for blends for a brick and mortar shop, right? Because yes, people can probably think I'm full of poop, but I restore pipes, make pipes, repair pipes, and I blend tobacco, right? So
yeah.
I'm intimately aware of components, recipes, these things that brick and mortar shops do.
Yep.
Dude, this is the most devastating punch in the nuts for brick and mortar that has ever happened in the last 100 years.
I believe
easily.
That. Yeah. I think that's a fair, accurate statement.
Because if you mix this, so let me let people understand how this works. I have a blend. I own a brick and mortar store. I have a blend. Just a single one of the ingredients in that blend is owned and discontinued by the STG purchase. Guess what I have to do now?
Throw it away.
I either have to throw it away or I have to spend $15,000 to find a replacement for that tobacco and re-register it with the FDA. What individual brick and mortar tobacco blend are you going to sell enough of to justify a $15,000 licensing fee to redo that tobacco?
Not many.
Not many.
Not many, no.
And so what are you going to do with it? You're going to get rid of it. And so you're going to wind up with a lot of your favorites at brick and mortars are just going to be gone.
Do you want a ballpark, a guesstimated percentage of how many of those blends will go away?
50%.
50%.
Easy.
It's like a Thanos snap, just gone.
It really, so you're talking about base components for blends are gone.
Right.
When I looked at that list, when I saw that notice that came out from STG and I saw what they were going to continue to carry, dude, there was no blending components in the list of the things that they were going to keep.
Right.
I'm going to tell you right now, they butthurt every brick and mortar store in the entire country.
So it has to be from the same manufacturer. So say since they bought Sutliff, could STG then present you with an equivalent blending component?
And I'd be fine. I'd be fine.
Okay. But I'm just asking,
but they're not going
to.
Well, no, they could do that, right? They could pull it over. I could pull the same component that has the same name from a different manufacturer, and I'm still good to go.
Okay.
But let's say I have an aromatic blend that requires a butterscotch tobacco. Even if I have a replacement that I think that I can utilize, I don't know that I'm going to. Because it's going to cost me $15,000 to change a single ingredient in a blend. Who's going to do that?
Probably no one. So
who makes that much money off of pipe tobacco? Nobody does.
Right.
Now, the online stores and stuff like that, they're going to take a hit, but they're also going to have enough tin tobaccos and stuff like that from other makers. You know, they're going to have other people like C&D, right? You know, and that's the one thing. C&D has an opportunity to take over the entire industry right now.
Sure.
But they can't do it overnight.
No.
Right? So is there enough time for a company like C&D to make up for the absence that's going to occur? Or is the pipe tobacco industry going to collapse in an entirety.
So when you have such a big entity, right, with the majority of their portfolio is cigar related and next gen tobacco products like snus and vape and pouches, right?
Which that's where the money comes from.
Yep. And they make relatively very little comparatively off of the pipe tobacco industry. So since they pretty much own 85% of the pipe tobacco industry, right? With all of this talk of boycotts and stuff, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of discord on the internet and the community in general. A lot of people are really upset. It would be nothing for them to say, okay, well, our sales are down because people boycotted. We don't really need this, so we're done. And they pull the plug on the whole thing and close it down. What would that do? That would...
You're done.
Okay. The industry would be done.
The industry's done.
You would think that the other 15% could cover that, but they couldn't.
No.
Because the other 15% isn't one entity. It's like 15 of them.
Exactly.
Right? So what that would do is everyone would have to turn to that 15%. They would operate... They could not operate at capacity. And people will get frustrated and just give it up altogether.
They would. Or the other thing that's going to happen is I would have an expectation of just like micro breweries for beer. You could get 20 or 30 micro tobacco companies to get together to push back on this.
Yeah.
But guess what? Human nature's not going to allow that to occur. Right? Mm-hmm. Because you're going to have people that are going to be like, well, I deserve more money than that company, right? Dude, that's the only way that's going to happen.
But then we're looking at producers versus blenders, right? So not everyone in the other 15% is a producer, meaning they don't process anything.
Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. If you own, and I'm going to tell, I don't know if there's any brick and mortar owners that are listening to this podcast. Ensure that when you file your paperwork, you do not list yourself as a producer. Make sure you list yourself as a blender, because the difference in rules and requirements and amount of money is insane, right? So make sure that, and even if you're going to start a side thing or something like that, make sure you actually license yourself as a blender and not a manufacturer.
Right.
Because if you make the mistake of filing yourself as a manufacturer, you're toast. You're done. Right. And the amount of money, and it's a simple thing to get wrong, but the amount of money required to offset that, you're just never going to survive.
I mean, it's unfathomable. Right
now, I'm going to tell you, man, I think this is a personal opinion. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that STG is a friggin' tool for doing this. I've probably never been more like, so when McClellan closed down, I kind of understood a little bit, but I also kind of understood because I also had a bunch of cellared McClellan in my basement. The big thing about McClellan, and people may disagree with me, but they're going to be wrong. McClellan was everything about Virginias. McClellan had the best Virginias available in the market in the United States, right? And so, so I'll tell you, as an example, Park Lane Tobacconist, Clifton Park, New York. We had a blend called Red Paramore. It was the top-selling tobacco in the store.
Okay.
It was a blend of 7 McClellan Virginias. It was not inexpensive, but it was, as far as the locality is concerned, we had people from California buying this stuff.
Wow.
We had more online orders for this than we had in-store purchases. And when McClellan closed down, guess what happened?
Red Paramore went away.
Gone. First of all, it would be unethical to continue the blend. Quite honestly.
Right.
But the second part is, even if it was ethical, you just can't.
Right.
Because the tobacco's not there. Right? So, I mean, that thing was Red Virginias, Stowed Virginia, Green Virginia. It was one of the points of pride for the store. And then McClellan just closed down, didn't sell the recipes to anybody. Now, their reasoning, if you believe their reasoning, was that they couldn't get the same quality of Virginias anymore to provide to people. Now, if that's the real reason, I'm okay-ish with that. Right? Because if I can't use my hands anymore and all of a sudden I make my pipes with pre-made stummels, same thing with this, right? If you're going to if McClelland all of a sudden, they couldn't get the same Virginias anymore and they decided to buy it from somebody else and then deliver it to you and say it was from them, I would give them crap for that as well. The problem I have with McClelland is that they didn't even take into consideration selling their recipes.
Right.
That was the booger that McClellan did, and that's why everybody got mad at McClellan. That was the only reason. It was just done, and so at that point in time with McClellan going out, you had probably 25% of the blends in the store were affected by the closeout of McClelland. That's baby puppy stuff compared to what's happening now. This is big. I mean, this has hugely, and I've seen it already in numbers, this has, the detrimental effect is going to be felt for the next 5 years. And so but guess what you get to do about it?
Nothing.
Not
nothing
a thing.
You can do.
There's not a thing you can do about it.
No.
And so I think what I'm really tired of is companies saying that they support the pipe community, but when they start looking at dollar bills, you actually get to see what they're really all about.
Right. Yeah,
and in this particular case, it was not about the pipe community.
No.
It was about a profit margin, a P&A statement, and that's what they did. Well, and you know, the thing of it is, and I know this isn't a normal opinion, but like, you're going to close that factory in Richmond? Really? That's what you're going to do? One of the oldest tobacco facilities in the United States, and you're just going to close it down. Yes, people lost jobs, but what you're also losing is a historical icon that created, let's be honest, tobacco created the United States of America.
Right.
And you just were like, And a lot of people may not know this or not, so we live, is it okay to say what state we live in?
Yeah, for sure. Okay,
so we're in New York. On top of what they charge us, there's a 75% tax on cigars. Now, I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people don't know. If I was to buy $5,000 if I owned a cigar shop and I ordered $5,000, $10,000 worth of cigars, there's 75% tax on that. So that's $7,500.
Wow.
Guess when I have to pay that? I have to pay that next month whether I sell those cigars or not.
That's crappy.
So I can lay out capital on a huge cigar purchase, but next month I have to pay a 75% tax on that in the state of New York to the state of New York, whether I sell those cigars or not.
Wow.
And so that's why a lot of times when you go to cigar shops in New York, you may not see full shelves, right? Because these guys have to take into consideration their profit and expense statement for that month and what money are they going to have for the next month to pay for these cigars that aren't sold. So it's even then, but they're going to push the cigar side. That's where the money is, right? When you look at it, the market's probably 85% cigar and 15% pipe.
Right.
Right. And that's, let's be honest, that's not going to change, right? Because we're a niche market and we're not what makes a tobacco shop money. We just aren't. And STG knows that. And that's why, I don't know, I only assume that's a portion of why they did what they did, because as long as they keep selling the cigars to the stores. So this is the thing. If I own that store and I give a bunch of shit to STG about what they're doing with the pipe tobacco, are they going to sell me my cigars? They are, but they may not be super friendly about it. You're going to get the C-team rep at the store because you gave STG a bunch of crap and made a bunch of posts about how they hurt the pipe tobacco industry so bad. Well, you may not get the same cigar treatment after that as well. I feel bad for the brick and mortars. Mm-hmm. I actually feel bad for like the people that enjoy blending their own stuff at home.
Yeah.
Right? Because I do that, right? Mm-hmm. There's some things that I do at home. And now all of a sudden, everything's gone. Everything's done. You're not doing that anymore. Stores that you've gone to for... So I'll tell you, I know that there's blends that in Park Lane have been carried in the store for a single individual. Mm-hmm. Because, quite honestly...
Yeah, one dude is enough to drive that, yeah.
Dude, they buy enough.
Yep.
Like some guy out of California, I'm not going to name the blend, but is like, that's his blend.
Yeah.
And guess what? He buys enough of it throughout the year to make it worth keeping on the shelf. Guess what we can't make now?
Right, yeah.
That blend's gone.
Yeah, all those old My Mixtures were blends for individuals that sold well enough that, one dude could fund it and then the rest who bought it. And My Mixtures are gone and now Park Lane blends are gone. Yeah.
There's going to be a number of them that we are going to do everything possible to keep those things. Mm-hmm. And we had a different conversation earlier.
Yeah.
But you also have to understand that the community, the pipe community, needs to understand also the FDA costs.
Yeah.
For continuing these blends. So the one thing that I would say to everybody is with this happening, please do not blame your brick and mortar for not keeping your blend.
Yeah, if they got rid of it, it's not their fault.
It's not their fault, right? Yeah. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if they change one component in that blend, technically and legally, it is new, and you are a manufacturer, and you now have to spend $15,000 for a new license.
Yep.
So please, pipe community, do not blame your brick and mortar for what's going on.
When your favorite brick and mortar drops your favorite blend,
it's not their fault.
Find another one and support them.
Yes. Yeah. Right, because they're already going to get kicked
Not another
in the
brick
nads.
And mortar, another blend.
Right.
Yeah, find another blend and support that brick and mortar because they're only doing it because they're getting destroyed by FDA.
Right. Because they already got kicked in the nads.
Yeah.
So do what you can to support your brick and mortar, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or talk to them at least, right? Because I probably shouldn't say this, but if they had a blend that had one ingredient that now is not available for STG, I'm just saying you might be able to go to your brick and mortar and say, just mix that without that ingredient, and you may put that ingredient in there afterwards on your own.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Let's just work together to make the impact of this as low as possible.
Minimal
because
as possible.
As all these brick and mortars are going to be impacted, except for LJ Peretti. They're essentially bomb-proof, according to them.
Yes.
Okay.
They've never used any Sutliff in any of their blends. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything about that, Ed.
Neither am I.
That's what I'm for. I don't really even know what's going on, so I can say whatever I want.
Yep.
I'm not saying anything.
See, and you know a lot about blending because you actually got your hand started blending at Park Lane.
Oh, I'm
sure you've blended longer than that, but
I've been blending for 7 to 8 years. Yeah. So
what,
even
a good half of those Park Lane blends are probably your ideas on that wall.
No, you know what?
No.
So if you look at the wall, you have.
Those who haven't been to Park Lane, it's an impressive wall of house blends.
It is pretty freaking cool.
Clifton Park, New York.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So you do have there's 2 separate containers on the wall of the store, right? And to the right hand side is ones that have like regular labels.
Yeah.
Okay. So what those are the same blends that any other tobacco shop would have. Right.
Yeah. They're your bulk blends,
your
relabeled,
bulk blends and stuff like that. Right. So on the left-hand side of the wall are all jars that have a Bonaquisti B with a nice label on there. Those are all actually, those are Paul's blends.
They are just his? Okay.
They
I thought
are
you added
just
to them.
Ish.
Okay.
Ish.
We'll leave it there. Cool.
But those are, because Paul's a big English guy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So there is literally on the left-hand side of the wall, there are blends 1 through 15 that are 15 different Englishes on the wall.
Yep.
That's impressive for
It
any
really
brick
is.
and mortar store, right? Now, I have my blends from the store that I love, right?
Yeah.
P.S. If you ever buy tobacco from Park Lane Tobacconist, buy Blackmore. It's my day-to-day smoker. It's the shit.
Yep.
In my personal opinion.
So, yeah, since we're totally out of order on the show and doing things as we please, I was smoking my Allen Kipp pipe and I was smoking Blackmore because you talked it up. It's a really, really great tobacco. Can you tell us what's in Blackmore out of curiosity?
Oh, you
don't have to because I know.
No. That's fine. That's fine. Paul's not going to listen to this, so I'll be all right.
Never.
Okay. So Blackmore is actually, Blackmore is actually a hybrid aromatic English, right?
Okay.
So it has a couple aromatic components. It has only like out of the entire, so like say the recipe batch is for 8 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Only 1 ounce out of this blend is Latakia.
Okay.
It is true to Dunhill's idea that Latakia is a condiment, right?
Yep.
And then you have some other components in there. But I'll tell everybody right now, the secret ingredient in that I think needs to be in way more blends than it is right now. And right now, you can't buy it off the shelf. You have to special order it now because people don't make it anymore.
Wow. Okay.
Is licorice tobacco.
Yep.
Now, if you do some research, you would understand that in the 30s and 40s, licorice tobacco was the bee's
bomb.
knees.
Yeah.
Right? It was the bomb. But then as people's taste changed, they went into like the Latakias and the definition of English blends changed where the Latakia went way up. But that was, again, to me, I know people will call this an aromatic.
Yep.
You want to know what I call this? A true English.
Yeah. I like it.
I call this a true English.
Yeah, so we were talking pre-recording. So Peter Heinrich's cases with an anise licorice type of flavor. So I've traditionally smoked a lot of their tobaccos because it comes through on a bunch of them. I don't think there's enough black licorice tobacco out there anymore.
There's not. And I'm going to tell you right now, people don't understand how enjoyable it is.
Yeah.
It is a historical blend component that has been around for
steeped in history, right?
And people don't understand the enjoyment that you can get from it. It has that anise and that little bit of sweet that it adds to it.
Yeah, the touch of sweet is a nice little, You
can smoke a blend with that in there, and actually the enjoyable part, I like messing with people a little bit when they're smoking it, and I'm like, what's the secret ingredient? And people will just be like, man, I just can't put my finger on it, right? It's just, there's this weird flavor that's really great, but I just can't put my finger on it. And when you tell them it's licorice, they're like, get out of here. But then people have no idea that this was a standard ingredient for tobacco back in the day.
Yeah, it smoothed out rough edges. It was such an easy addition to things that it made it enjoyable even when the sourcing of tobacco was harder then. You could round out a blend and go, it has these harsh edges, throw a little bit of black licorice in there, and bam, it's a smooth smoking blend again.
Dude, it's like a chili component, right?
Mm-hmm.
it's like something that you put into chili to just tone it down and blend all the flavors
my
together.
chili, that secret ingredient is a combination of fresh ground cacao and coffee.
So a lot of people don't understand that coffee is one of the greatest chili ingredients in the world.
It is,
right? Because it marries
condimental.
up.
It's a
Condimental,
you need the right amount, small.
But at the same time, it marries flavors. It marries spice with earthy flavors across the board.
Yeah. Literally grounds them. It's awesome.
And so it really isn't any different. And I just like even. So, licorice has fallen out of favor so much that the last time that we needed it at the store, we had to have it made.
That sucks. Yeah.
We had to have it made. And so, when we had it made, of course, I went in and, I had to buy my percentage, so I know I'll always have a little bit, because I can tell you, you can take your favorite blend. I guarantee you, take your favorite blend. I don't care what it is.
Yep.
Sprinkle a little licorice in there, and your blend's going to be better no matter what you say to me.
All right, so that's why it hurt me for you to say that. I was about to say I was looking for a new everyday blend. I think our relationship with Jeremy really developed out of the fact that that's where I was headed with that, and we started doing a lot of experimenting and going down to Richmond and playing with tobaccos, and our blend spun out of that. But I never was finding my new everyday, and they're gone. So that's not a possibility anymore. And this Blackmore was getting darn close to my search, and I was going to ask if you would blend me a variation of Blackmore. I want Blackermore, and I want you to drop the Latakia by the same amount that you increase the licorice.
Easy peasy.
Okay, because I smoked it and I was like, I don't believe you. The licorice isn't there that much until I started drinking vodka, and then it brought those notes out. It actually opened the palate up enough for me to taste and smell. I guess in the back of the tongue, I started to get the sweet bitter combo, and then it started to fill my nose, and it took the vodka opening up that.
Well, and alcohol does that, right? Because it opens up flavor profiles that are not normal.
And it took Blackmore to where I wanted it to be, and I'm curious if we can reblend Blackermore into something that is that without the booze, because I'm not an alcoholic and don't want to drink to make my tobacco good.
I'm actually okay with that, but I'm gonna acquiesce to your request.
In the shop, I need to cut down on that.
So I'm gonna tell you one thing that I do with this myself personally. It's very funny because we're gonna wind up just being more twinsy than we already are. I actually cut the Latakia in half. I double the licorice, and I add an ounce of 1Q.
Okay, yeah. So you did everything I was thinking, plus the 1Q. Great.
And
we
the
are
1Q,
weird twins.
I like 1Q is just like one of those things.
It's a good carrier. Yeah.
It's an excellent carrier. It like rounds out blends really, really well.
So this one is not that.
No.
This is the straight
This one
Blackmore.
is not that. So I'll put it to you this way: the next one of the actually, I won't wait till the next one, because who knows? I might disappear off the grid for another 6 months. But I'm gonna actually, when I go home today, I'm gonna mix you up and ship you out a blend today.
Awesome.
Because
I feel like this could be what I've been looking for to just fill the gap when I'm like, I don't want to pick a tobacco. I just want the tobacco ready.
I smoke this all day, every day, because I can't smoke a Latakia bomb all day, every day.
No.
Now, I can smoke Burley all day, but it's boring.
It's boring,
as poop, right? This...
It gives you that flash in the pan you're looking for, but is an everyday thing. Yeah.
It's an everyday thing. It's not out of control, but it does have enough character. So I don't know how other people classify tobaccos. I have a way that I classify tobaccos. Interesting and uninteresting.
Yeah.
So, And a better definition is things that I need to pay attention to and things I don't need to pay attention to, right? So BLWB, I can smoke that at the bench making pipes. I don't pay attention to it. Right? Because I don't. Because it's got just the right amount of sweet. It's got a nice nutty flavor. Dude, the stuff never goes out.
Right.
Like you can literally, it just keeps burning. It is just like some of the easy, and it's inexpensive, right? If you set down a pipe of BLWB on the bench and you don't see it until tomorrow.
Back up for the listeners. What is
so
that?
That's a lane tobacco. So I apologize.
Oh, it's fine.
I get in my head that everybody knows everything that I know, and I apologize.
I do that too, and I've learned through 3 years of doing this that people are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Right. So BLWB is a lane tobacco, and it's interestingly enough
because it's STG.
Oh, no. BLWB's never going to go away. Yeah. Right. And so what it actually stands for is burley light without bite. Now, there's a reason for that. Okay. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a straight burley and you smoke straight burleys and you're not paying attention, you are going to fast. Boy, you are going to heat up a pipe fast and you are going to have tongue bite. Boy, I'm going to tell you, man.
When I first started experimenting with cubed white burley, I learned that lesson the hard way.
And cubed white burley. Now, remind me to say something about cubed white burley after I'm done with this.
Okay. Not recorded. Thank you. Sorry, guys. Come to the shop and learn from us later.
So BLWB, it's like ordering online, man. Yeah. Just go to wherever.
It's everywhere,
It's everywhere. It's $3 an ounce.
Yeah, you can't beat that.
But I'm going to tell you, it's got just the right amount of sweet. It's nutty. It's enjoyable. You really can smoke it all day.
Right.
But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not interesting.
Right. Yep.
You don't pay attention to it. You're not looking for nuances.
Yeah.
You're not looking for, does BLWB change flavor halfway through the bowl? That's not what you're doing with that stuff, right?
It's exactly the same always. That's the point. Yeah.
Listen, I'm grabbing a handful. I'm throwing it in the bowl. I'm sticking it down with my pinky finger, and I'm just smoking the crap out of it, right? But that's just, that's a good everyday tobacco. What did I tell you to remind me of?
White cube cut burley.
Okay. White cube cut burley. Everyone who smokes a pipe should have this in their arsenal.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
It is the carrier of every flavor you want it to be.
Yep.
So it's literally cube dried, like it's dead nuts desert dry.
Yep. Do not pack your bowl. Gravity feed.
Oh my God, please. But this is the thing. Go buy some apple juice.
Yeah.
Go buy a couple cinnamon sticks.
Okay.
Put them on the stove.
Yep.
Throw a little nutmeg in there. Boil it up until it gets thick.
Yep.
Okay. Now put it in a spray bottle. Put an ounce of white cube burley in a bowl.
Yep. Spritz it
and spritz it until it starts to expand.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. It's the first spritz, it's going to expand 25%. Spritz it again.
Yep.
Spritz it until you can start breaking it apart by rolling it in your hands.
Yep.
And put it in your pipe, man. Because guess what you have now? Apple cinnamon tobacco.
Nice.
White cube burley.
Well, it's hold anything that you put on it.
It will hold anything. You want pumpkin spice tobacco?
Which is a wonderful Sutliff tobacco that's gone. Yep.
That is gone, and I enjoyed it.
Me too. Way more than I expected.
I shouldn't enjoy it, right? Like, it's one of those tobaccos that you don't want to admit that you love.
I got some of it to make fun of it.
But I loved that shit. Mm-hmm. It was so good. I wanted to make fun of it, and I couldn't.
It was great.
It was great. It was awesome, right? So go ahead. If you want pumpkin spice, Go buy some pumpkin spice, actual pumpkin spice in Price
real,
Chopper.
Yeah. Pre-blended, ready to go.
Let's see, if we're going to mix it with white burley tobacco, what would I wouldn't mix it with water.
No.
Maybe a little cane syrup and maybe a little bit of, and I'm going to show you some weird stuff. Mix it with some cranberry juice.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden you have Thanksgiving tobacco.
Yeah. Take that, LJ Peretti.
So take some cranberry juice, put some pumpkin spice in it, and spritz your white cube burley with it.
Wow. Yeah.
And guess what you're smoking now? Now, I'm going to tell you on top of that, now mix it with just some BLWB. Some nutty, half-sweet burley. Dude, you're smoking Christmas.
Yeah. Wow.
Easy peasy.
Yep.
No problem.
Now put that in your pasta press and leave it for a week or two. And
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to go to the next step, go ahead and put it in a container and then press it.
Yep.
Now you're talking real game stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the thing. You could literally go buy some plywood, build a 12-inch by 12-inch form.
Yep.
Make the tobacco that we just talked about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go to Harbor Freight and buy a benchtop press for $40.
Right.
Fill the form that you just made out of that plywood, put a top on it, fill it with tobacco, put a top on it. Now press it to 2 tons.
Right.
With
so
that benchtop press.
You don't need that expensive hydraulic press because these things will do that 2 tons.
No, you don't need that. That's 2 tons of pressure.
Yep.
Now let it set for a week. Now, if it doesn't hold together, put a little Caro syrup in it. That is a dirty secret.
Nice.
I'm going to tell you right now, not a lot of people are going to tell you about that.
Yep.
Put a little Caro syrup in there because sugar is actually what binds tobacco together. Like other ingredients
all that crystallization on your flakes.
Hello, right?
Yep.
That's where those crystals on top of that tobacco come from, right? Put a little Caro syrup. So don't even wait. Just put a little Caro syrup to begin with.
Yep.
Okay? And now press that. Okay, guess what you just made? You just made $10 an ounce.
Yeah.
Christmas tobacco for yourself.
Out of almost nothing, yeah.
And you can just take your kitchen knife. Now, what do you want to do with it now? You want to make slices? You want to make cubes? You want to make flake?
Yep.
You can do whatever you want with that now.
Nice.
Dude, it's not difficult.
I feel like this is an awesome homage to our lost friend Eric too, because this is kind of like what got him started in the industry. Was this home blending that turned into with these kinds of tips, like legitimate home blending that's rivaling brick and mortars.
Did he ever send us his Snake Plissken tobacco that he made?
No.
Oh my God!
He made a tobacco that he cased with Zippo lighter fluid.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
And he said it was fantastic.
He said it was great.
It to us.
Not happening. Oh, genuinely, that guy always treated me with the utmost kindness.
Everybody in this room loves Eric, but yes.
He bought 3 pipes from me. Yeah, he was always stunningly kind to me.
Yeah.
But if you are going to come back from the grave and ask why I'm gone now, and in the same sentence say I cased my shit with lighter fluid, there might be a reason. I'm just saying.
You weren't doing yourself any favors.
I'm just saying you might not have been helping yourself very much. That's all. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. No, that was acceptably un-PC, yes.
Yeah. Good Lord, man.
He would have loved it.
He would have.
And actually, the funny part is, he would have laughed his ass off at that.
He would have,
Yeah, he would have loved that every single second of that.
All right, so you are sending me some Blackermore. I'm really excited.
And that's like...
I may send you another tweak, but I'll withhold judgment until I try it because I think I'm finally moving towards my I can't smoke McClellan 24 hours a day. What can I replace it with? And it can't be McClellan-like.
Mm-hmm.
No, because the thing of it is I get a little bit, at some point I get a little bit annoyed with people that just continue to say, well, this isn't McClellan.
Well, I stopped saying it.
And at some point in time, I'm going to look at you and say, dude, it's gone.
Yeah.
Stop saying that.
Yeah.
It's not coming back.
I get it, though. Like, I could smoke number 22 all day, every day for the rest of my life. If it was available, but I can't.
So it's like, I don't know, like at home, like we discussed. I've got a bunch of solid McClellan.
I'm rating you. I know. Yeah.
And please raid me, because guess what? I don't actually like.
Okay, so that's fair, and so I don't like when people romanticize it per se. So I can say, pre-closure, I spent an entire year of my life smoking nothing but McClellan Red Virginia, period. It was 22, 24, red and black.
Okay.
That's all I smoked for a year of my life, and that was when the closure was announced, was when I hit the end of a year, and I went, oh, crap, that is my everyday smoke. What do I do now?
For me, people who bought tobacco from the store love McClellan.
Yeah,
and
Park Lane is a very McClellan-like.
It was.
Yeah, I can see it. Yep.
And everybody loved the quote-unquote ketchup smell of McClellan. I'm sorry, but I didn't.
Okay,
No.
you suck. That's cool.
Dude, how does that smell like tobacco?
It smells like love.
It smells like ketchup.
Yeah.
That's not love.
Yeah, it is.
Ketchup
You're
is a
telling me ketchup isn't
half-ass
love?
condiment.
Have you? Never mind.
I make my own ketchup. I'm sorry.
That's why I stopped.
Yeah.
I know fully well what I'm...
Because this one here was going to go, well, bitch, did you ever make your own ketchup?
Yes.
And I wanted to get ahead of you on that. And I was like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Now,
Dude, this is the best tobacco I've ever had.
Now, with
And
that
I
being
believed that
said,
before it was not available.
with that being said, I always knew that if I had a ketchup smell in something, it was the best Virginia's available.
Yes. That is
So
true.
I may not have
It might not be your cup
preferred
of
that,
tea,
and it
but
may
you
not
know.
be my cup of tea. But I know if I opened a blend
Yep.
and it had that McClellan ketchup Virginia smell, I knew I had the best Virginias available.
Yeah.
And I knew that the people that were purchasing that
We're
is
gonna
what
love
they
it,
were
yeah.
looking for,
Yeah.
right? May not be my jam. It's all good.
For how much we share, I can't believe you don't even like it. We have almost everything else in common, even our other tobaccos. But man, I don't. It must have landed at the right moment of my life that this was the thing that I went, that's good tobacco.
Well,
That's
now,
it.
the one McClellan that... So there was one McClellan that had the cigar leaf in it.
Oh, God, yes.
The heck was it? Had a green label. I'm not going to be able to think of the name of it.
Offhand either.
So
but
the McClellans,
I smoked a dozen tins of that.
the McClellan cigar blends that they had, because
I don't even like cigars.
They
and that
said-
was phenomenal tobacco.
they said that the cigar leaf that was in it didn't come from Cuba. I would question that,
Well, of course they said that.
because the
to
cigar
say the
leaf,
other option was not good.
the cigar leaf. Oh, Key Largo.
Yep.
Key Largo was the name of it. The McClellan Key Largo, dude. That had those bright Virginias with those earthy cigar leaf.
Yeah.
Ding dang.
Yep.
That stuff was like off the hook for me. That was like
Nice.
one of those bright citrusy Virginia things that melded with like an earthy, nutty cigar blend. It was just crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that stuff. The Key Largo was great.
I think we've exhausted Eugene's ability to give a shit about us.
Are you done, Eugene?
Kind of.
Okay. You're starting to shake and jitter a little bit
I just
over
do that
there.
all the time anyway.
Yes, that's normal.
Oh, is that's just normal?
Start to finish.
Well, I think Yeah, I think we're actually at a really great point to wrap it up. This has been a phenomenal conversation.
Yep.
We covered stuff that I didn't think we were even going to talk about.
I had no idea where this was headed, and it went in all the great directions. I'm thrilled that you could join us. I'm really happy that you came out.
I'm so happy to be here, guys.
True to the nature of the Grey Woody Show, this is life. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you, Alan, so much for being a part of our lives and this recording.
And thank you so much for having me. And I just want to tell everybody, these guys did not have to have me here today. I asked to be here today to visit, and I know they're already busy, but I want you to know these are two guys that made the time to allow me to come here and have a mental health break. So give Eugene and Nate, my props for allowing me to have some time here with you guys and kind of reset myself. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome, man.
Anytime, dude.
Nope. Thank you.
Peace.